Welcome back to Crazy Gamers Games, and thank you for joining me for part 25 of my Adeptus Mechanicus build. Last video I talked about the Electro Priest, and I was talking about I was going to make some modifications. I have finished them. As you can see, I've taken a transonic blade from some leftovers from the Rustalkers kit, the Sicarans, and I put a blade on that one. This guy left the same, and then this guy right here, I put a, let me zoom in a little bit, I put a blade and a razor on there, and then this guy, just a little razor on the end, and then this guy, I put a piece of a power sword. I have to say this one's my favorite. The guy with the power sword, that's so cool. I like that. I have 20 of these guys. I'm going to do different things, maybe a taser goad, different things like that for trying to, get some variety in my Electro Priest. So that is those done. Now, what is next? Well, let me zoom out. We are building a Knight Preceptor. We are not building the Canis Rex. We are building just a plain Preceptor, and we are going to build a bunch of different weapon options to cover all the Knights. I'm just going to go over the Preceptor today, and as I switch him over with magnets to be a different Knight, I'll go over that Knight. But as you can see with this one kit, you can build 6 different Knights: the Preceptor, the Crusader, the Warden, the Paladin, the Errant, and the Gallant. I marked some details. The first few steps are building the Canis Rex with the detailed cockpit. I will build this on another Knight at a later time, but for this one I'm just going to build a regular Knight, and I'll explain why I'm doing that in a minute. But you got the basic legs. I actually put notes in here. So here is, let's see here. Here we have the different weapon options here. You can have the heavy stubber, the melt-a-gun, or with the Preceptor you can have a multi-laser. So I'll go over that. And then you can make, with this here, you can make it Questor Imperialis or Questus Mechanicus or Freeblade. I will be doing Questor Mechanicus because of my Adeptus Mechanicus. And then here is the build for the Las Impulsor, and then you got the chain sword, and then you have the different carapace weapons. Oh, that's the different weapons. There's the carapace weapons right here. So that's that. Let me go over the Knight Preceptor. It has a damage table, but it has Strength 8, Toughness 8, 24 wounds, 4 attacks, Leadership 9, and a 3+ save. When it has 13 to 24 wounds, it has a 12-inch move and 3+ weapon and ballistic skills. 7 to 12 wounds, a 9-inch move, and 4+ weapons and ballistic skill. And between 1 through 6, a 6-inch move and a 5+ weapons and ballistic skills. But with Adeptus Mechanicus, you can mess with that, and we'll go over that. A Knight Preceptor is a single model equipped with the Reaper Chain Sword, a Las Impulsor, Heavy Stubber, and Titanic Feet. He costs 385 points, and then it's 30 points for the Chain Sword, and then with the Heavy Stubber it's another 4 points. So standard built, he's only 409 points, and which is pretty good. He can swap out his Reaper Chain Sword for a Thunderstrike Gauntlet, which would make him 414 points. He can take a Carapace weapon, the Icarus Autocannons, 30 points, Storm Spear Rocket Pod, 45, Iron Storm Missile Pod 16. And then he can also change his heavy stubber for either a melt-a-gun or a multi-laser. So anywhere, he can range from anywhere between 409 points to 482 points, depending on the build. The heavy stubber is range 36, heavy 3, strength 4, 0 AP, 1 damage. Basic heavy stubber. Now the Las Impulsor, his main thing, it says when attacking with this weapon, choose one of the profiles below. Low intensity has 36-inch range, and it's heavy 2d6, strength 6, negative 2 AP, d3 damage. But at high intensity, at 18-inch range, you have just heavy d6, so 1d6, but it's strength 12, negative 4 to the AP, it's at d6 damage. So that's that. And then Melt-A-Gun is Assault 1, 12-inch range, 8 strength, negative 4 to the AP, d6 damage. If the target is within half range, roll 2 dice when inflicting damage and discard the lowest result. Now the multi-laser, excuse me, the multi-laser, which only the Preceptor can take, is a 36-inch range, heavy 3, strength 6, 0 AP, and 1 damage. I like it because it's 36-inch range. It's a little higher strength than the heavy stubber, and it only costs 6 more points. So I think I might take that over the heavy stubber. It's basically the same thing with a higher strength. And then the Reaper Chainsword is plus 6 strength, negative 3 AP, and it's a flat 6 damage. And then you can trade for this Thunderstrike Gauntlet, which is melee. It's 2 times your strength, which would be 16, negative 4 AP, and a straight 6 damage. And it says, when attacking with this weapon, you must subtract 1 from the hit roll. If a vehicle or monster is slain by this weapon, pick an enemy unit within 9 inches of the bearer and roll a d6. On a 4+, that unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. And then it has a Titanic Feat, which is its user strength of 8 and negative 2 AP, d3 damage. And you make 3 hit rolls for each attack made with this weapon. So you would make 12 hit rolls. So the Carapace weapons, like I said, the autocannon, Storm Spear, or Ion Storm. It has an Ion Shield of a 5+ vulnerable save against ranged weapons. If it reduced to 0 wounds, it explodes. Roll a d6. On a 6, it explodes. And each unit within 2d6 suffers d6 mortal wounds. Now here's the key why I want this particular knight in my army. It has a mentor ability, and you re-roll hit rolls of 1 for friendly household, armored or class units within 6 inches of this model. So if he can hang back with my Helverins, they're re-rolling hit rolls of 1, or you can hang out with the Warglaives and they're re-rolling hit rolls of 1. It's a super heavy walker, so it can fall back and still shoot and charge in the same turn. And then for its Carapace weapons, the Iron Storm Missile Pod, 72 inches, and it's heavy d6. This weapon can target units that are not invisible to the bearer. And then you have the Storm Spear Rocket Pod, heavy 48-inch, heavy 3, strength 8, negative 2 AP, d6 damage. And the Twin Icarus Autocannons, heavy 4, strength 7, negative 1, 2 damage. Add 1 to all hit rolls for this weapon against targets that can fly. Subtract roll 1 from the hit rolls for this weapon made against all other targets. I don't know if I'll use the Icarus cannon because I'm going to be running at least 1 Dude Crawler with the Icarus array, so that'll take care of my flyers. Now, we've went over the points. So now let me talk about some of the stratagems that can be used. My knights are going to be House Tyrannus. So you can, if your knight is reduced to 0 wounds but did not explode, you can roll a d6, and on a 4+, set the model up again at the end of the phase as close as possible to its previous position and more than 1 inch away from any enemy units with d3 wounds remaining. So basically it comes back to life with d3 wounds, and then you can use another Quester Mechanicus stratagem that is Machine Spirit Resurgent, and you use this stratagem at the start of any turn. Pick a Quester Mechanic unit from your army. Until the end of this turn, use the top row of the model's damage table, regardless of how many wounds it has left. This immediately ends if the model is reduced to 0 wounds. So you can bring him back. If he survives to your next turn, he can be attacking at full strength again. And of course, with all Imperial Knights, you can rotate Iron Shields. Adds +1 to the vehicle's invulnerability save against range, so it would only cost 1 CP. And then you have the Benevolence of the Machine God. When a model from your army suffers a mortal wound, roll a d6 for that mortal wound and each other mortal wound inflicted on that model for the rest of the phase. On a 5+, the mortal wound being rolled is ignored. So, you can ignore some wounds. And then you can spend 1 CP before the battle to make him a warlord, and you can also spend 1 CP to give him a relic. So, or if you have more knights, you can spend 3 to give 2, or 3 to give 2 relics, but mainly I'll do 1. So, I'm looking at, I could run 2 battalion detachments and a super heavy detachment with the Preceptor and 3 Warglaives and 3 Helverins with 2 battalions, and that would give me mini CP. So I'm looking, as a backup build for my army. I'm going to have a variety of builds. But let's take a look at the sprues here. Comes with a very large base. Let's see, what is that? It's like 170 millimeters oval. Big base. And then this is the sprue that is specific to the Preceptor. There's the Las Impulster, and then you get, this is also for the Canis Rex, you get the Canis Rex mask and all the stuff to detail the inside of the cockpit. Right here would be the inside of the cockpit, and you can leave the top of the carapace open so you can see into the cockpit at all times if you want to. And it also has the parts to build the pilot. Can't think of his name at the moment. So that is the sprue that is specific to this Preceptor. Now we'll take a look at, this sprue is standard to all knights. It's basically your back and your Reaper Chain Sword, the top of the hips, the head, where the head goes, your thermal spear, or your thermal lance, and your thermal, I think it's thermal cannon or something. This is the thermal lance that has the heavy stubber. You got some arm joints on here, which I'm going to have to read the instructions carefully, excuse me, to figure out how to magnetize these. It's going to take me a little bit to get through that. And now this sprue is specific if you get a Preceptor or a Warden. This has your top mount carapace weapons, the Avenger Gatling Cannon, which you could use, also you could use a relic to give it the Endless Fury Gatling Cannon, which is better. And this also has the Thunderstrike Gauntlet on it. So that is this sprue. And like I said, it's got your missile pods, your Icarus autocannons, the carapace weapons, which I will also be magnetizing. And then these 2 sprues, last 2 sprues, this is mainly your top half, your armor, your sides, your engine parts, some arm pieces where they connect. That's that sprue. And that comes as standard in all the knight kits. And this is your feet and your legs, which is standard in all knight kits. So that's it. Might have been a slightly long video, but I will be building this and magnetizing the weapons and building all the weapons and figuring out how to magnetize it. And I will make a couple more videos as I magnetize each thing, or a couple things. I'll put a video out on how I did it, what magnets I used, and things like that. Well, thank you for joining me, and for Crazy Gamer Games, I'm the Crazy Gamer. Have a great day.